In the dim flicker of a haunted museum's shadowed halls, Zak Bagans stands alone, his eyes, once sharp and defiant, now veiled by an unyielding haze of double vision, a curse that descended upon him like a spectral shroud after that fateful night in the demon house. The air thickens with unspoken torment as artifacts whisper secrets of the damned, echoing the fractures within his soul. For years, the enigma of his affliction lingered, a phantom pain that blurred not just his sight, but the line between reality and the abyss he chased. Whispers in the paranormal world grew into accusations, doubts eroding the empire he built from fear itself. Yet, 1 minute ago, the veil lifted, revealing a truth so horrifying it shattered illusions. The demons were not mere shadows, but harbingers of his own unraveling psyche, intertwined with forces beyond mortal grasp. What if the greatest ghost he hunted was the one residing deep within, refusing to be exorcised? The camera lingers on the crumbling facade of the demon house in Gary, Indiana, its windows like hollow eyes staring into the void, the wind carrying faint, dissonant murmurs that seem to emanate from the walls themselves. Zak Bagans steps through the threshold, his flashlight beams slicing through the oppressive darkness, illuminating peeling wallpaper stained with the residue of forgotten lives and alleged torments. The air is thick, almost tangible, laden with the scent of decay and something more insidious, an unseen presence that presses against his skin like cold fingers. Deep within, he feels the stirrings of an ancient dread, a psychological fracture that has simmered since childhood, when asthma attacks left him breathless and alone in the night, vulnerable to the invisible forces that haunted his imagination. Now, as an adult chasing shadows for the world to see, that vulnerability resurfaces, masked by the bravado of his public persona, yet gnawing at the edges of his resolve. He moves deeper, the floorboards creaking underfoot like muffled cries, his crew trailing behind with cameras rolling, capturing every flicker of anomaly. Whispers grow louder, not just auditory hallucinations, but echoes of his own doubts, the duality of belief and skepticism that has defined his existence. In the basement, where the heart of the alleged possessions beats strongest, an inexplicable chill envelopes him, and suddenly, the world doubles, visions overlapping in a disorienting haze. Diplopia strikes without warning, a physical manifestation of the internal schism, where faith in the paranormal wars with the fear of self-deception. His mind reels, flashing to moments of isolation in his youth, the unspoken pain of feeling unseen, now amplified by this assault that blurs not just sight, but the boundaries of reality. Terror coils in his chest, a profound fear that this is retribution, a demonic entity latching onto his soul, exploiting the cracks formed by years of suppressed loneliness and the pressure to perform for an audience hungry for proof. The investigation intensifies, equipment beeping erratically, shadows dancing on walls as if alive, each anomaly pulling him further into the abyss. He presses on, voice steady for the camera, but internally, waves of helplessness crash over him, reminiscent of those childhood nights when breath escaped him, leaving only panic. The psychological toll builds like a storm, identity fracturing under the weight of what he has invited, success built on fear, now turning inward. Foreshadowing lingers in every blurred step, hinting at a future where fame's glare will only deepen these shadows, costing him pieces of his sanity in the pursuit of truth. As chaos erupts in the final moments, objects rattling, voices screaming from the ether, the house seems to exhale its curse upon him. But in the silence that follows, as he stumbles out into the night, the unresolved question hangs heavy. Had he beckoned the darkness willingly, or had it been lurking in the recesses of his own fractured soul, always poised to strike? The scene fades into the muted glow of a modest home in Washington, D.C., where the air is heavy with the scent of suburban normalcy. Yet for young Zak Bagans, it conceals an undercurrent of invisible strife. Night falls, and the boy lies in bed, chest tightening as asthma seizes him, breaths coming in shallow gasps that echo through the silent house. Isolation wraps around him like a shroud, amplifying the unspoken fears of mortality, the dread of being consumed by forces beyond control. This vulnerability plants seeds of an identity crisis. A boy who feels like an outlier in a world that demands strength, his sensitivities dismissed as weakness, fostering a deep-seated loneliness that whispers of other realms where the unseen might hold answers. Days blend into one another, school hallways stretching like endless corridors of judgment, where peers' laughter rings hollow against his internal turmoil. Psychologically, he grapples with the pressure to conform, inner conflicts raging between fragility and a defiant spark that yearns to challenge the ordinary. The move to Michigan for film school becomes a pivotal escape, the car ride filled with the hum of possibility, yet shadowed by the weight of leaving behind the familiar pains. In his new apartment, the first apparition materializes, a spectral figure in the bathroom mirror, its form fleeting but indelible, shattering his skepticism and igniting an obsession that both exhilarates and terrifies. This encounter mirrors his childhood helplessness, transforming it into a quest for validation, but at the cost of deepening anxieties about his place in a cosmos indifferent to human frailty. Emotional consequences unfold in quiet moments of reflection. Staring at blank screens where stories of the paranormal begin to take shape, his mind a battlefield of doubt and determination. The unspoken pain of disconnection from family and friends intensifies as his pursuits pull him further into solitude, foreshadowing the fame that will elevate him, yet ensnare in greater isolation. Sensory details paint the scene. The flicker of a desk lamp casting long shadows, the distant rumble of traffic underscoring his aloneness, facial expressions tightening with unresolved tension. As he packs his camera bag, dreams coalescing into tangible ambition. The path ahead gleams with promise, but the open loop dangles precariously. Would this journey illuminate the shadows of his past, or plunge him into an eternal night where whispers become roars? The desert night envelopes Nevada in a blanket of stars, the gritty sands whispering secrets as Zak Bagans drives toward his destiny, the hum of the engine a counterpoint to the rising tide of ambition within. In abandoned asylums, where echoes of tormented souls linger in rusted corridors, he launches ghost adventures, camera in hand, capturing the unseen with a fervor that masks the hidden emotional loneliness gnawing at his core. Success builds slowly, each episode a brick in his rising empire. But psychologically, the thrill conceals an identity crisis, fears of fraudulence echoing like distant thunder, skeptics' voices amplifying his buried doubts. The 2004 documentary premieres, screens flickering with raw footage of apparitions and EVPs, drawing a devoted following that adores the hunter yet isolates him further in a cocoon of adrenaline-fueled nights. Scenes unfold in forgotten prisons, flashlights piercing the gloom, his voice commanding yet laced with unspoken vulnerability as anomalies manifest, cold spots chilling his skin, shadows flitting at the periphery of vision. Internally, pressure mounts, the public persona of the fearless investigator clashing with the man who lies awake, replaying investigations, questioning if the captures are real or projections of his own need for meaning. Relationships fray under this devotion, friends drifting away in the silence of unanswered calls, amplifying the loneliness that has shadowed him since youth. Emotional weight presses down, each success a double-edged blade, validating his path yet deepening the void where genuine connection should reside. Foreshadowing creeps in with fleeting health scares, dizzy spells dismissed as fatigue, hinting at the burdens that fame will impose, vulnerabilities ignored in the pursuit of the next revelation. The camera captures his face in close-up, eyes intense yet haunted, beads of sweat tracing lines of tension as he confronts entities in the dark. Psychological layers peel back gradually, revealing the inner fears of irrelevance, the guilt of exploiting tragedy for viewership, identity struggling to reconcile the boy who gasps for air with the man who chases ghosts. Sensory immersion draws the viewer in. The creak of iron bars, the echo of footsteps in empty halls, the heavy silence broken by sudden bangs that jolt the soul. As Fame's embrace tightens, applause from screens across the world drowns out his internal cries, but the cliffhanger looms in the quiet aftermath of an investigation. How long could he sustain this ascent, outrunning the ghosts not just in the locations, but those forged within his own unraveling psyche? Within the opulent yet eerie confines of the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, artifacts pulse with the residual energies of their tragic histories. Glass cases reflecting the dim lights like watchful eyes as Zak Bagans surveys his kingdom. At the peak of fame, crowds throng the entrance. Their murmurs a cacophony of awe and curiosity. Yet for him, it amplifies the psychological burden, a throne built on fear that now crushes under its own weight. Global adoration floods in through screens and social feeds, but internally, fears of exposure fester. An identity crisis where the paranormal king questions his crown, unspoken pain from past traumas resurfacing in the quiet hours when the museum falls silent. High-profile investigations unfold in grand scale. Cameras rolling in infamous haunts, books releasing to acclaim, each elevating his status, yet deepening the isolation. The roar of fans a hollow echo against the void of personal bonds eroded by relentless pursuit. He walks the halls alone at night, shadows lengthening, the air thick with the scent of aged wood and dust, each relic whispering stories of sorrow that mirror his own inner wounds. Psychologically, the pressure intensifies, guilt weaving through triumphs as he wonders if his empire exploits the dead, identity fracturing under scrutiny's glare, loneliness a constant companion in the midst of adulation. Facial expressions betray the strain, eyes shadowed, jaw clenched, in moments captured unwittingly by his team, revealing the man beneath the myth. Emotional consequences cascade, anxiety mounting like a gathering storm, trust in his perceptions eroding as artifacts seem to stir with intent, foreshadowing scandals that will unravel the narrative he has so carefully constructed. The weight of leadership bears down, decisions about exhibits and episodes laced with the fear of irrelevance, blurring the hunter into the haunted. Sensory details immerse. The faint hum of climate control preserving cursed objects, the chill of a Dybbuk box's proximity sending shivers through his frame, distant laughter for visitors contrasting his internal silence. Inner conflicts rage, the boy who sought validation now burdened by the Empire's demands. Unspoken regrets over severed ties amplifying the psychological depth of his solitude. As he stands before a mirror said to harbor spirits, his reflection doubles faintly, a nod to the diplopia that lingers, symbolizing the duality of triumph and torment. Yet, in the museum's deepest chamber, where the most malevolent items reside, an unresolved question haunts the flickering candlelight. What if the crown he so proudly wears is not a symbol of conquest, but a curse woven from his own unyielding ambitions, poised to fracture everything he has built? The scene dissolves into turmoil, spotlights of scandal piercing the veil of Zak Bagans' invincibility, as accusations of plagiarism swirl around his book like gathering storm clouds, whispers turning to roars in the paranormal community. Behind-the-scenes dramas erupt, allegations of mistreatment and fabricated evidence chipping away at the Empire's foundation, each blow resonating with internal conflicts where self-doubt clashes with defensive rage. Psychologically, the burden of fame transforms into a suffocating fear of abandonment, identity crisis reaching its zenith as once loyal followers turn away, exposing the loneliness he has long suppressed beneath layers of bravado. The persistent eye affliction from the demon house compounds the chaos, diplopia blurring visions during heated confrontations, a physical echo of the emotional fractures widening within. Nights in the museum become battlegrounds, artifacts standing sentinel as he paces, the air heavy with tension, distant city lights filtering through windows like judgmental eyes. Inner fears surface gradually, guilt over past decisions, the pressure of maintaining the myth cracking his resolve, unspoken pain manifesting in restless dreams where childhood asthma blends with current betrayals. Key tragedies unfold. Public statements met with backlash. Relationships shattering under scrutiny's weight. Each event a step deeper into despair. Emotional consequences ripple outward. Isolation deepening as trust evaporates, foreshadowing a reckoning with the very forces he has invoked throughout his career. The weight of betrayal, both from others and self-inflicted through denial, fractures his world like glass under pressure. Sensory immersion pulls the viewer into the descent. The sharp ring of phone notifications bearing hate, the cold sweat of anxiety in silent rooms, facial expressions crumbling from defiance to weary resignation. Psychologically layered, he grapples with the identity of a fallen icon, the boy who chased shadows now ensnared by them, vulnerabilities laid bare in moments of solitude. As scandals peak in a maelstrom of media frenzy, the empire teeters, artifacts seeming more alive than ever, their energies mocking his downfall. But in the dim aftermath, as he confronts the mirror of his own making, one cliffhanger persists amid the ruins. Could he endure this abyssal fall, reclaiming fragments of self, or would the encroaching darkness consume him entirely, leaving only echoes of the hunter he once was? In the subdued light of a reorganized life, Zak Bagans sits in quiet introspection. The haunted museum's hall's now a space of measured reflection rather than relentless conquest, artifacts arranged with a newfound reverence that speaks to his evolving soul. Reflection unfolds slowly, inner wounds mending in the crucible of adversity, as he confronts the fears and pressures that have sculpted him, finding tentative meaning in vulnerabilities once hidden. Psychologically, identity reforms, blending the tragedy of losses with inspirational threads of resilience. The boy haunted by asthma, now a man who shares his scars, turning personal horrors into beacons for those navigating the unknown. Public reconciliations emerge. Candid interviews revealing truths, a shift toward authenticity that mends some fractures, emotional consequences weaving hope through the persistent tapestry of pain. Scenes transition cinematically. Walks through desert landscapes at dawn, the sun rising like a symbol of rebirth, wind carrying away remnants of old doubts. Inner struggles reveal themselves in journal entries glimpsed, words flowing with the weight of unspoken regrets, loneliness easing as connections reform, yet shadows of identity crisis linger in quiet moments. Sensory details enrich. The soft glow of morning light on his face, eyes clearer now, but still carrying the haze of experience, the distant hum of life affirming his place. Subtle foreshadowing persists in the museum's silent vigil, artifacts whispering of mysteries unsolved, hinting that the paranormal's grip may never fully release. Legacy takes shape, inspirations drawn from his journey offering solace to others, unresolved emotions simmering beneath the surface calm. As he stands before the Demon House exhibit, a remnant of the wound that started it all, the air thick with memory, psychological depth uncovers the final layers, fear transmuted into wisdom, yet questions enduring. In this rebirth, the emotional arc circles back, tragic elements inspiring growth, but the open question echoes in the fading light. In unraveling the mystery of his haunted soul, had he truly banished the ghosts that defined him, or did they merely retreat into the wings, waiting for the next act in an eternal drama?